Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another weather forecast by Age Weather Forecast. And it's going to be another update. In this forecast, we're going to be going over in a very detailed overview of the so-called early winter, which will be arriving in the southeast. Which actually, it kind of basically started today and basically yesterday across the southeast, where we are seeing a very significant cold front along a stationary front, which is basically in the deep southeast now, basically actually off the coast, and we're seeing a really significant cold blast right behind that. The stationary front continues to go up the east coast. We're gonna be watching out for some very significant cooler air and as well potential for some deep freezes across portions of the lower Mississippi River Valley and as well the southeast. As well, watching out for our first chance for snow across the Great Smoky Mountains, and we are watching out for some snow accumulation. So winter is arriving across the southeast and I-95 corridor early. But without further ado, let's get in the video. So first thing I want to look at is obviously the National Weather Service, and we have a lot of blues, purples, and just overall kind of purplish colors across the southeast and as well lower half of the United States. And we have not seen these colors come across this area in the United States in quite a while. So it feels nostalgic to see these type of colors back once again this deep far south in the United States. We do have freeze warnings all across the lower Mississippi River Basin as well as the Ohio Valley. We do have freeze warnings across much of western and central Tennessee, across much of the Ohio Valley, and a portion of the Ozarks, including Missouri, Arkansas, and as well eastern Oklahoma in those kind of purplish type colors. As well, we do have a few a little further to the west there, basically within the Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico area as well. We do have hard freeze warnings actually as well. We do have hard freeze warnings across the upper panhandle of Texas and as well the far western panhandle there of Oklahoma. But these freeze warnings are likely going to make their way towards the Great Smoky Mountain as well. We do have as well frost advisories down there into Mississippi as well across much of Kansas and as well into portions there of the Great Smoky Mountains there and the kind of the spine of the Appalachians going through lower half of Virginia. And as well, we do have now a few freeze warnings along the I-95 corridor and along New Jersey, Connecticut, and as well New York. So it's going to be kind of a more of a deep south. It's going to really be felt across the deep south for today, tomorrow, and Saturday. And as we go further into the weekend, the stationary front will make its way further up the east coast, allowing for that colder air to make its way further towards the east. As well, we do have now freeze watches across areas across central North Carolina and southern Virginia, and of course central Arkansas, but likely to see at least frost advisories make their way down to Alabama, possibly South Carolina, North Carolina, and as well Georgia. But here's a quick look at the overall hard freeze warning area across the northern panhandle of Texas, and as well portions of the far western panhandle of Oklahoma. And we are seeing the 20s here, getting as low as 24 degrees there in Beaver, Oklahoma, getting down into the 20s, and as well near below freezing across Amarillo. I mean, there's some really, really cold temperatures here, of course, getting towards the lower 20s. Definitely a really, really cold temperatures overnight tonight, so definitely going to be really, really cold and would definitely not recommend going outside. Let's actually get a look now if we have anything, maybe anywhere in this freeze watch across, or freeze warning across Tennessee, and let's see if we see the actual temperatures. Yeah, looking into 20s, they are going to be basically just below freezing in Nashville. And then look at the highs on Thursday in the 50s here. But actually in Georgia, the highs will not get out of the 40s, at least in my part of the state. So it's actually going to be cooler high-wise in Georgia than in Tennessee. That's going to be because that's going to be seeing that really cold central area of weather, because that's exactly why we are getting that snow centered across the Great Smoky Mountains near Boone, North Carolina, near Asheville. But they're into Thursday night getting in towards the lower 30s. Let's now check a look now at, let's check Kentucky, and they don't have anything updated for them. Let's see if we check Arkansas and the Memphis area. Look at the highs tomorrow. The highs are gonna be in the 50s. I'm gonna be watching out for the freeze warnings, looking at anywhere from 29 to 32 degrees, and the frost advisory is gonna get just above freezing. So we're gonna get close to freezing as far as low as the northern Mississippi area. So here's looking at the day summary here for today, and we do have our first mixed precipitation highlighted across the southeast. This year, we do obviously have this all the way from far northern Georgia, there near Mountain City, all the way up towards Asheville into Boone, North Carolina, just outside of Winston-Salem and Hickory, and just outside Johnson City. So it's centered basically across the crest of the Great Smoky Mountains along the Tennessee and North Carolina border as well. Look at me in Gainesville, just getting that cold rain right here in Gainesville. That's exactly where I'm centered. So I'm not too far away from that mixed precipitation, but it's going to kind of stay its way towards Raven County in Georgia. Let's not get towards Thursday, tomorrow. Obviously, this frozen precipitation will start to make its way further eastward as a stationary front makes its way further to the northeast. And there is that stationary front. Basically, we'll actually look at it. Today's a stationary front, and then it kind of becomes more of cold front along with the dry land. As well, watching out for some potential for some mixed precipitation along the Great Lakes tomorrow. Of course, as well, watching out for some, continue to watch out for maybe some sleet and maybe some light snow showers across specifically the Boone area. And as well, going to watch out even towards Asheville. And then by Friday, this threat for, or this possibility for any frozen precipitation will start to really diminish along the I-95 corridor, and it's going to kind of just be centered towards the northeast. Well, the cloud cover is starting to make its way now across the Rockies here, or not the Rockies, sorry, the Smoky Mountains. There you see a lot of that dense cloud cover now making its way towards deep North Georgia, as well as seeing some really intense cloud cover there across the Smokies. So you're going to see some really intense cloud cover near Franklin, North Carolina, getting there as well towards Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and as this cooler air starts to obviously deepen its way into the southeast, and as we start to see that moisture advection start to push its way northward, we're going to start to really see that chance for sleet and maybe some ice pellets, and even as well some snow showers and those highest elevations across far northeast Georgia, far northwest South Carolina, and of course portions of North Carolina in the next few hours. So let's not get a look here at the latest GFS here, 2-meter temperature anomaly, and of course, all that cold air is specifically centered, at least specifically today, across portions of the deep south central as well towards the lower half of the Mississippi River Valley, and that's why we still have those hard freeze warnings visible, and as well still in effect for portions of Texas and Oklahoma, and as well we do now have the chance for, as we go overnight to tomorrow, the chance that we will most likely start to see freeze watches as well, maybe frost advisories start to make their way further to the southeast. What I mean by that is basically the Carolinas and Georgia. Because look up now tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to start seeing that really significant cold air across specifically in North Georgia, much of South Carolina, and a lot of specifically central North Carolina going to be seeing as below as 24 degrees below average. And that's exactly why we're going to be watching out for the chance to develop some snow showers and some lingering flurries across maybe those lower elevations as well, maybe towards we could say probably Mountain City, Georgia, or towards Asheville, because obviously Boone's a lot higher in the elevation than Asheville. Although Asheville's really high in the mountains, it's considered the lower elevation when you compare it towards other cities in the Smokies. So even Asheville could very well see some lingering snow showers overnight. Don't expect too much accumulation. The most amount of accumulation will most likely be visible towards the highest elevations, basically, where we're basically surpassing 5,000 feet. So really cold air there across specifically the southeast there as this cold front continues to make its way deeper towards the east, allowing for that cold air to, of course, follow it. And that's exactly why the highs will not get out of the 40s across the Carolinas. And that's exactly why it's going to be a little bit warmer high-wise across Tennessee, Kentucky, and Indiana than in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. Because some highs will not get out of the lower 40s across the Carolina. That's where the deepest cold air will be centered. And then as well, we go towards Friday, that cold air is still centered across much of the eastern United States, but a little bit less intense compared to the average. But still really cold air, of course. Now, actually, as we get towards the weekend, this colder air will now start to focus and center across portions of the mid-Atlantic. Really cold air, looking at around 15 degrees below average, and it's going to kind of stick around until this warm front starts to make its way towards the early week. So let's now get a look at the NAM 12 kilometer on the actual temperature itself. The real-time temperature forecast. I was going to use a NAM 3 kilometer, but it only gets towards really Thursday, or towards Friday. So I decided to use the NAM 12 since it actually gets in range for Sunday. So it's going to be a little bit less, and a little bit less accurate, but it will do. So here's a look at the overall lows as we get towards tonight. So let me actually get to the actual lows itself. So here's the overall lows tonight. Going to get obviously into the lower 30s as well as some spots into the upper 20s across Tennessee there, but getting seeing going to be seeing temperatures in the 30s as far south as portions of Texarkana and portions there of southern Oklahoma, but going to be seeing some really cold air across basically Great Lakes as well, northeast, and that jump is going to be seeing this really cold air of those 20s. I mean, but look at the highs. Look at the high forecast. This is going to be the high forecast for tomorrow. Yeah, look at the highs. I mean, the highs won't even get out of the 60s, or may not even get out of the 50s for far southern Alabama. That's well below average temperatures. Still seeing the 50s and the highs for Houston. Very unseasonably cold temperatures. I mean, some temperatures may not get out of the high, may not get out of the 30s for the highs across Boone, North Carolina, and of course sticking around the 40s and the as well as lower 50s across Tennessee. But look at the Carolinas. I mean, may not get out of 43 degrees in Raleigh tomorrow. And of course, as we get towards Friday morning, these temperatures are going to be a lot colder across now far into the Mississippi River Valley. Going to get as far cold as basically the upper 30s across Louisiana. Unseasonably cold temperatures. We typically don't see anything like that really till it's really December. But look at these temperatures now getting the 30s across basically very close to the Outer Banks, getting some really cold temperatures across the Ohio Valley, sticking around the 20s, and as well getting closer to the teens across the areas of New England. And as we get towards now Saturday morning, it's going to be very intense cold air across, specifically now towards the Chattahoochee area. Going to get into the 20s across portions of Georgia, Tennessee, and unfortunately, I have a race like right here on Saturday morning. So that's going to be absolutely awful for me. It's just not going to be fun at all. And of course, as we get towards Sunday, going to start seeing these temperatures now really dropping across the northeast. Let's now quickly look at the overall NAM 3 kilometer MSLP. And of course, like I said, there's going to be some moisture advection across the southeastern portion of the Appalachians today, later overnight. And as we get toward basically in the early morning around 4, 5, 6 a.m., we're going to start seeing some mixed precipitation across the highest elevations across North Carolina. You're going to really watch out for some potential for some good amount of accumulation here considering the time frame. But let's now look at the GFS as well. I believe the GFS is as well hinting for some decent snow. So GFS, of course, is showing some snow starting to develop basically as early as the next 9 hours, and then starting to see the snow really start to center across basically areas between Asheville and Boone, North Carolina. And that's going to be seen the kind of the crest of the Appalachian Mountains, and then once again start to blow up by basically very similar to this time tomorrow. And then, of course, there we start to see that front start to quickly move out of the way. And then, of course, accumulation-wise, this is the look of the NAM 3 kilometer. And here's the overall look at accumulation. Watching out for around maybe 2 inches or so. Not going to be too crazy. We may start to see winter weather advisories be issued. However, the confidence for accumulations this high is a little bit less confident. But looking at for accumulation, basically from a trace across the crest, outside obviously, far outside Asheville. Asheville really won't get any accumulation. They may get a few flurries though, but the accumulation is say in the very, very higher crest of the elevation. But hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys later.